Hello, and welcome to another update video about Solana. Yeah, Solana's chart has given us a three-wave move to the downside here from the August high, yeah, the early August high. Well, it wasn't actually the August high, it was the 8th of August high. Here we had a possible impulsive move up, okay, and a three-wave pullback. I mean, that is definitely, it's a decent setup, okay, it's a decent setup. However, do I believe it's going to work out? Not necessarily. It's very similar to what Bitcoin is doing right now, where we also have a 1-2 setup to the upside, but Bitcoin's actually looks a bit more questionable. And we all know that Bitcoin is leading the market. Bitcoin dominance is still up. And Ethereum's, I would say Ethereum's movements will to a degree depend on Bitcoin. I mean, if we zoom out, I mean, we can see that also, not Ethereum, sorry, Solana's movements will to a degree depend on Bitcoin. I mean, if we zoom out, we'll see that this fourth wave that started in March, it looks very similar to what Bitcoin is doing. That sort of wasn't so, I think, so recognizable initially, but it becomes quite apparent. And these 1-2 setups, we see that potential on various charts. From a qualitative point of view, I mean, quantitatively, the levels are defined. I mean, you've got all the risk levels you need, you've got resistance, you've got support, you even have a breakout point up there, the yellow trend line, okay? And then you just need to see, okay, what's the invalidation point? It's very clear. Invalidation is always the beginning of the wave one, around $110 down there. What's support? Where do probabilities shift clearly towards a more bearish interpretation? That's $119.57, very clear. What needs to happen to clearly favor the yellow wave count? Needs to be a 5-wave move up above the resistance area and ideally the breakout point. So let's say above $160, right? So we need to get above that trend line and we need to do it in 5 waves. So, but from a qualitative point of view, it looks decent. It's probably one of the best setups in crypto at the moment locally. But does that mean it has to play out? No. I mean, at the moment in the current situation, I'm considering the entire sector. Bitcoin, as long as I'm favoring Bitcoin to make another low, I don't necessarily believe it. From an analysis point of view, I want to see more. I want it to prove itself. Doesn't mean it couldn't be traded, absolutely. But I'm hesitant to confirm the yellow scenario, right? It is there, but it doesn't have very high probabilities. Okay, it is, yeah, it's still the most probable scenario. I mean, together with the blue one, these are the two ones that I'm sharing here. All the other ones I'm not even showing you. But at the moment, we're a bit in no man's land. We're holding above support, we're holding below resistance. And clearly, the probabilities are rather favoring the bulls at the moment. And sorry, not the probabilities, the reward to risk ratio, because we're very deep in support. We're very, very close to an invalidation point. Whenever that's the case, I mean, reward to risk ratio is really positive, right? The third wave in yellow should reach $208 or higher. Now, that doesn't mean you necessarily trade for this entire move, but if you can get a 3-to-1 reward to risk ratio, that's already decent. Even if it's just it's just trading for the to the top of the yellow line. But as I said, it's not a highly probable Elliott wave scenario. Probabilities are fairly balanced. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it is probable, or I wouldn't show it, but it's not that probabilities are very clear. They are not always clear between the bullish and the bearish count because we are sort of in no man's land, squeezed between support resistance. And I just try to explain to you why I don't find them very clear. But the levels are very clearly defined, so you can just use them, right, for a trade. Essentially, it's all about reward and risk. But yeah, what I'd like to see is a little bit more upside momentum to get that clear understanding that we are actually on the move to the upside. Also, the move that happened from the Friday low, here when the market made another low at $120 roughly, I mean, that move is just not clearly bullish, is it? At least not at this stage. It doesn't look like it. We can always only analyze what we can see right now. And I would not rule out here even another low. And below $119.57, probabilities shift towards the more bearish interpretation, more clearly, because any sustained break below the 78.6 fib level, reduces significantly the likelihood for a bullish follow through. So what are the two scenarios that are left on the chart? So we have this bullish count, I already mentioned that. But what we need to see essentially is that breakout. So we have a wave 1, we have an ABC, and then from here somewhere a third wave should move up. To call it a viable third wave, it needs to reach the 1.38 extension of the initial 1-2 setup. There we talk about $208. And then we need a 4-5 pattern. 5 waves up to around about 230 or higher. This would be the roadmap for the bulls. The bearish count would indicate that, and there are different ways of labeling this, okay? But to keep it simple, this here, and we can say, okay, maybe this is an ABC in wave 1 even, and we're now working on wave 2. So yeah, and then this would be a 3-wave move up for now. Not very clear, but I like the idea of a flat correction here, which could just be a corrective rally. I might change the count a little bit, but this is sort of, for me at the moment, what I'm tracking. There's nothing that tells me that this is not valid. There's also no break above resistance at this stage. Rather, the market's move to the upside looks very weak. So it would rather confirm the idea here of an ABC structure to the upside, which I've marked as blue wave 2 corrective rally, which could then result in another sell-off. And a break, as I said, below $119.57 would more clearly emphasize that we go down lower and probably even enter the lower support region around $72 or so. Yeah. So if this is a third wave down that happens next, it could send us down. I might tweak this a little bit today, send an update through for gold members if I do. But for now, this is what we're working with. Levels should be clear. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also, make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.